go, let's go, let's go. How you doing? It's Kicking It with GDove. I got a coffee mug with my name on it to prove it. It's my show. It's my show. How you doing today? I am Jerry Dove. Call me GDove if you like. And you're watching Kicking It with GDove. It's a show that combines music, entertainment, and culture, hosted by me. I got a diverse guests that include artists, athletes, and thought leaders, and who share their stories and talents, and just try to make some good things go out there for some good people. Today, I've got a great guest for you guys today. I got a Dr. Robert W. Turner II. He's an associate professor in the Department of Population Health Sciences. Wow. I'm getting my tongue tied here. I'm trying to impress the professor from Duke, and I'm sounding like I flunked out of high school. But let me try again. He's Dr. Robert W. Turner II is an associate professor in the Department of Population Health Sciences and has an appointment in the Duke Aging Center at Duke University. And I think I might need to make an appointment with him myself real quickly here. He's a former football player and an author, having written a book called Not for Long, The Life and Career of an NFL Athlete. And he's come to the Bay Area with the 5th Annual Black Men's Healthy Brain Conference, coming to Oakland February 1st through the 6th at Merritt College. The event is free. We're going to talk about all of these things when I bring to the stage the Dr. Robert W. Turner II. How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing real well. GDove, I like that. I like that a lot. So thank you very much for having me. I really appreciate it. I love the energy.
I appreciate that too, man. And pardon me for messing everything up. I'm like, he's a doctor from Duke. I've got to impress the man. And I'm stepping all over myself, but it's okay. So let me just slow down and talk to you. So we've had a nice little chat before we started rolling, and it's good to know you already. I get the feeling that you and I could be lifelong friends. So let me share some of the things that we were talking about with the people who are watching now. So let's start with the 5th Annual Black Men's Healthy Brain Conference. May I say, that sounds kind of intimidating when you say that, but I think I know where you're going with it. So explain it to me and explain what the whole concept of it is, please.
Well, I think the best way to kind of come at it is how it started, why we do this and how we started this in the first place. But I know we're going to talk a little bit about my book. But when the book first came out, one of my good brothers, brother from another mother, Ron Rice, played 8 years for the Detroit Lions. And then Deb Stroman, she is definitely my sister from another mister. They said, you know what? All three of us have played, sports on a very high level. The world of sports is changing so much. We need to get the word out there that, us old heads, that we have this kind of understanding about what's going on, and we want to make sure the kids don't get exploited. Let's go out there and do something about it. And so the first thing they said was, let's go out on a talking tour and talk about your book. And so we went down to Atlanta when the Super Bowl was there back in 2018. And we just I talked about the book a little bit. And what we wanted to do at that particular time was, and we wanted to celebrate the Black men who went to HBCUs, played in the NFL, right? Because that's not a path that we think about today anymore very much. But back in the day, that was the only path, right? Yeah. And so, we opened the mic up, and what came out of that was really kind of the genesis of our conference. There was a lot of men that had said, first of all, thank you for giving us a platform to tell our stories. That was number one. Number two, we heard so many stories about people struggling with mental health, emotional health, anxiety, and all of these other things. We said, whoa, something's out there. We need to do something about this. Long story short, we got to talk to Beasley Reese, who was at the time the president of the NFL Alumni Association, played with the Giants and the Cowboys. And he said, Doc, I love the idea. He said, but let me ask you a question. He said, as former athletes, all we ever hear is bad news. Is there ever any good news? And we thought, well, let's put a conference together where we can talk about what we do that's well to protect our brains, and what do we do that put our brains at risk. And then came the Black Men's Brain Health Conference.
Okay, so this is the 5th annual. Do you rotate the location every year?
We do. So the way that the conference really works is that we've been very fortunate. Carl Hill, who's he's the CEO or VP for the Alzheimer's Association and their DEI initiative. He said to me, Doc, you have this opportunity to bring 3 prominent brands together like nobody else. He said, you can go and bring the National Institute of Aging, National Institute of Health, the Alzheimer's Association, as well as the NFL Alumni Association. He said, by bringing those together, you got a platform to talk about health. In particular, if you look at the health outcomes of Black men, you'll notice that what I always say is that we are the greatest population at risk of the at-risk population. Our numbers are horrible. Just to say one, like the average lifespan of a Black man is 67.7 years, which is 6 years less than a Black woman, right? So we really have to do something about that. And so what we decided to do was come together. I got a grant from the National Institute of Aging, from the Alzheimer's and everything else. And so we follow the Super Bowl. We use sports as the front porch, just like a major college, right? Nobody will talk to you about their health, but you ask a brother, hey, did you ever play football? Yeah, I played it. You play basketball? Yeah, man, you got some aches and pains. Yeah, and then before you know it, we're talking about things, right? So we use sports as an opportunity, as a gateway to open it up. And so we follow the Super Bowl every year. So we're in the Bay Area now because the Super Bowl is, down in Santa Clara. Santa Clara?
It's in Santa Clara.
Okay,
and
right.
You're going to be up in Oakland, so a few miles away. But yeah, they call them the San Francisco 49ers, but they're like an hour away. So what are you going to do? What are you going to do? So it's February 1st through the 6th. Going to be primarily at the Oakland Merritt College.
Yeah. So what happened is, we come in, we bring together really kind of unique groups, right? Athletes is one, but what we really do is everything that we do for our conference is centered on community, right? And because we focus on Black men, we thought, well, where are we going to be in the Bay Area? Do we do it down by the stadium and do some of the universities down there? San Jose State, of course, Sanford is probably there. Do we do it on a peninsula with San Francisco? But a real good sister by the name of Shanette Merrick, who runs the Good Life. She's been coming to our conference every year for all of where we've been. We asked her to chair the planning committee. She said, if you want to reach Black people, then you got only but one choice. You need to be in Oakland. And she said, the right place to be is let's do it at Merritt, which is the home of the Black Panthers. And so that's why we wind up being there. Our conference, we bring together clinicians, researchers, doctors, practitioners. We bring together healthcare workers. We bring all of those people together that are involved with health, but we center the whole conversation on the community. So community organizations and people living in the community, this conference is really for them. It's by them, so we can learn from them.
Okay, so it's free, which is great. And I'm going to have the information on how you can register, because they still want to know how many people are coming and things like that. So I look what your outline. Day one is for VIP, but February the 2nd, Emerging Scholars Program, pre-conference sessions and things like that. So what is the day? How long? What time does it start? What time is it over? Can you pop in throughout the day, or just? So
the pre-conference is what we do with that. That is a closed session. That is for what we learned. Truthfully, as a scientist, data is king. Right? You've got to have data. And I live close to Washington, D.C. If you don't have empirical evidence or data to speak to something, then it doesn't exist. That's just the way that the science world works. But if you look at the numbers, you'll see that Black men aren't in the numbers. We actually don't exist. I'll give you an example of what I mean. When you look at Alzheimer's research, and we know that in Alzheimer's and dementia we're about twice as more prevalent in the Black community, or twice as more likely to get Alzheimer's or dementia, as being Black in America. But yet, when you look at the people who participate in research, Black people only represent 5% of all the people that are in any kind of research around dementia and Alzheimer's. But of that 5%, 75% are Black women. So Black men only comprise of 25% of 5%, which means overall we're about 1 to 2%. So when new drug treatments come out, when new approaches, any type of thing, it does not take into consideration our unique, biological profiles, stress, all of those different things that you might need to understand how drugs might interact with us, or any other kinds of interventions. And so that's the number one thing that we have to do, is we've got to get Black men involved and demystify those things. We got to understand about how do we address our health profile, get us back to the doctors. Those are all of the things that we want to understand. And we come at it from an approach that what's going on in, say, Oakland might be different for Black men that are down in New Orleans, where we were in 2025. So we really need to hear and participate and engage with local people.
Now, got to ask you why it is that more of us seem to get it than others. Is there a particular reason? Have we figured that out yet?
Well, I think there's a number of factors. The one thing that we know for sure, it is not based on our biology. We are not so uniquely different that there's something about our biology that's worse. But if anything, those of us who've been looking at health disparities research, it never caught us off guard when we looked at COVID and how devastating it was amongst the Black community around the country. Because if what COVID does is exploits and really attacks people who are what we would say have compromised immune systems, weakened or health-wise. So if you look at those types of things that make us such, we have high rates of diabetes, high rates of obesity, we have high rates of vascular disease, right? People don't even recognize that there's such thing as vascular dementia. So if you have vascular disease, you're much more prone to have vascular dementia. People also don't recognize that the fact that there is a direct link between sleep apnea and Alzheimer's or dementia, right? Because when you have sleep apnea, you can stop breathing up to 400 times a night. So essentially what you're doing is depriving your brain of oxygen. You do that long enough, you are going to experience some cognitive impairment. No question about that.
Wow. So I'm a cancer survivor, and I found that my immune system is not what it was. Since COVID hit in 2019, I've had COVID 4 times. I've had one cold in all these years, but I've had COVID 4 times. And I'm just finding that once I get it, it kind of stays with me. I can't fight it off like you used because my immune system's not the way it was. The one thing that helped me throughout this whole process, the cancer, the COVID, is my wife. I think that what a lot of problems that we have, we as Black men, and perhaps in Black women, we don't go to the doctor because we don't want to bother anybody. We don't want to be like we're, like not being a man and things like that. We need to have an advocate to take and speak on behalf of us when we go to the doctor, because my wife is always fussing at me that I don't ask enough questions because I don't want to bother the doctor. I just want to get in and get out. Would that have any kind of effect on men with the brain diseases and all? Or they're not telling people, are they just saying it's a headache, I'll take something, I'll take a nap? And are we not speaking up enough for that kind of thing?
Well, you know what? My dad was an ordained minister, and I feel like you asking me to put his robe on so I can get up on the pulpit and start preaching a little bit.
Well, come on,
there's so many things that are really important, very important. One of the things that I do stress is that one of the biggest things that happen with us as Black men is that we actually just don't go to the doctors. Do you realize that only 33% of Black men have across the country have visited a primary care physician in the last year? That means 66% have not, right? About 75% of Black men don't have a primary care physician at all. We tend to, unfortunately, wait all the way until the end when we're really dire sick that we go to the emergency room. So unfortunately, it's as though we look at the emergency room as our primary care physician, but by that time, it's really late, right? And so that's something that we really have to address. Who are the men in this country that actually do go to the doctors on a regular basis? It's very simple. It's men who are married or in a significant relationship, because generally women manage our health care for us, right? So these are real things. How do we combat that? The first thing we need to do is brothers need to talk to brothers. As simple as that. I did a focus group once around sleep apnea, and I told these gentlemen, I said, one, sleep apnea will kill you. You can die from it. Right, like Reggie White in the NFL, right? He had a CPAP machine, had been diagnosed. He felt like the CPAP was uncomfortable. He took it off. He stopped breathing one night and never woke up. So one, you can die from it. Two, you can get Alzheimer's. It can exacerbate, or it can, that's a risk factor that can bring it on even more, right? So when I started talking to these brothers about this, and they said, hey, man, I didn't even know that. And I didn't even know that I should go to the doctor about that. One of the brothers said, it was maybe the most profound thing that I'd seen in any of the research that I did. He said, now that I know this, he said, I can actually ask another brother and be serious. Like, how you doing? Instead of just saying, no, how you doing? It's like, yo, how did you sleep last night?
Mhm.
I love you enough, I'm going to ask you because it's an opportunity to have a conversation so you don't go that way.
A couple of weeks ago, we got together with some friends of mine in Oakland. Chris Rochelle and Russell Gatewood invited me to what you kind of said, like a little mini conference. I didn't really know what to expect. They just said, we want you to come on out. We're inviting in three brothers. We're going to talk about our well-being. Had no idea what to expect. I thought we're just going to stand around having a drink. Walked in, 25 guys all sitting around the table. I knew about half of them. And we're just going around the horn, talking about what's going on in our life. Quiet space, safe space. And just, it's amazing to hear how many of these brothers that I knew that were going through health crises themselves, taking care of their parents, which is stressful, just work issues, money issues, all kinds of things. And we promised that we would do this every 6 weeks and invite more and more brothers. So it's so important. And I'm going to beat that drum every time I get there, that if you don't have a significant other to talk to one of us. Because I truly believe that everybody needs to be told what to do. It's just a question of who they want to listen to. And so even if you pull somebody to the side and say, okay, I'll talk to you about this because I trust you, I believe you, and I know your story, so help me. And it's so important, man. I mean, it's so important. I think everything you're saying, just so important, so important. So these are the kind of things we're going to listen to and learn at the conference?
Absolutely. I think, what we do there is, as an example, one of the things that what we, again, as I tried to do, is we have these things called lunch and learns to go back to kind of what you were talking in the academy and medical school at Duke and all this other stuff. We have these lunch and learns. And so people present their own research, or you have experts come around and you can learn more about different things. So we're going to do 2 sessions, one on Tuesday the 3rd and one on Wednesday the 4th. And these sessions is really, it's about the importance of early diagnosis. Right? Getting tested, knowing where you are in early diagnosis. As an example, you hear so often about men having prostate cancer, right? And so prostate cancer is one of those things that if you catch it early, you're in really good shape. But if you catch it late, you're going to die from it, right? So what we just compiled a number of experts that are going to be on that panel during lunchtime, and they're going to, from different perspectives, what does an early diagnosis look like? What do you do to go talk to a doctor? When a doctor gives you information, what do you do with it? And so we actually, even on there, we're going to have a sports orthopedic person there, Dr. Stafford, because all of us old athletes, we need to know, like, hey, is that a real ache and pain, or is that just something that snuck up on you? What are you going to do about it? What happens when somebody tells you got arthritis? All of these other things. Don't just ignore it. Where do you go? All these other things. So that's the first thing that we're doing. A lot of this about, many of us, as you mentioned before, I had to care for my dad. My dad wound up having dementia. What happens? What do I do when I hear that he's been diagnosed with that? Or I'm starting to see these things about mom and dad. I remember distinctly one day, dad lost a car up and he thought it was stolen. He was at the mall. He called us. We had to drive up and, we had to calm him down and all of these other things. From a professional perspective, what do we do? Where are the resources? Who do we turn to? How do we find answers to these problems? So that's on the first day. Then the second day, when we do the lunch and learn about early diagnosis, it's what do you do once you hear something? How do you develop a plan of care? How do you actually work with the professionals, the doctors in your life, to have the agency and to advocate for yourself and your loved ones to make sure you truly understand what they're telling, know what your options are, and where do you go to get support if you're not happy with what they told you? So those are practical things that we build into the conference.
I love it. So I know I told you 17 to 20 minutes. We're already at 19, and we could talk for another hour, but I need to get a couple more things in. First of all, let people know that you can get the information and register for this free event at mensbrainhealth.org/2026 conference. It's going on your screen right below, but I just want to say that just in case you were driving and not looking at your screen. It's mensbrainhealth.org 2026 conference. Okay. Talk about your book. Let's talk about your book. I love the fact that you took a little bit of that Jerry Glanville from there for not for long with the NFL there, right?
That's for sure. That's for sure. And that's
So
where they came from.
What football team did you play for? Before we
Well,
start.
I went to college in Virginia, James Madison University, which we made the playoffs this year. So I got to go Dukes that way. And then I got drafted by the Memphis Showboats in the old USFL.
Okay.
That'll show you my age right there,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Was it Jim Kelly played for Memphis?
Jim Keller he played for the Oklahoma Gunslingers, right?
Okay, well, somebody was because I used to watch USFL back then. So
on my team was our biggest thing was Reggie White. I was in the same draft class with Reggie White.
Okay.
Then I wound up getting traded to the old New Jersey Generals, right? And then I was on the same team with started with Brian Sipe, but it was with Doug Flutie and Herschel Walker, right? And then
so you worked for Trump? Did he pay you?
I worked for Trump. I didn't work with him.
No, I said, did he pay you? That's what I'm saying. Did he pay you? Because
he did pay me. He did, right? But after one
Mm-hmm.
season, it was to see that this was a shipwreck. Let's get out of here. And let's get out of here quickly, right? Mm-hmm. And then so I went to Canada, and the bulk of my career is up in Canada, the Calgary Stampeders. Okay. And then at the very end, I wound up having what they say in the Major League Baseball. You get a cup of coffee in Major League Baseball. I had a sip of tea in the NFL. So I was with the 49ers.
Okay, well, come on home. So that must have been something. Now, is this you on the cover here? Because that's a big man right there. I was like, that's a big man right there.
That's Dana Stubblefield, believe it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was yes. We
Dana's
there was no way. I never weighed that much in my life, right? So, but we wanted to get a picture that really, in a way, I feel like that picture probably captures what most people's NFL careers are. It's, we know, right? The NFL is 3.3 seasons, right? Everybody thinks you make a lot of money and all of this other stuff. And what I write in the book, truthfully, is that everybody starts off as a fan, right? And then from that fan, it starts to all of a sudden it gets class-based real quickly. You're a fan, you're a journeyman, or you're a star. And in high school, everybody starts off as a star that winds up making the college scholarship, and then it starts shifting out and weeding all the way through out, right? And so essentially what football does, and we talk about this truly, but you don't really think about it, but the moment that they draft you in the NFL, right? The vast majority of those people, they are looking to get rid of you that very next day. They sign you and they're looking to upgrade that position right then and there. So you're expendable, right? And then we also talk about kind of how you have this reserve army of labor, right? So that anyone will step in and take your job at any time, right? I remember one time I interviewed a guy that played for the Green Bay Packers for about 3 years, and he missed it and he was out of it. And he said, man, I would do that job for $100,000. And I was like, really? He was like, I said, even though with all of the risk of your body, and he said, man, there's nothing like it for sure. So, somebody's there to try to, somebody again, when you enter the league at 22, there's a 12-year-old or an 18-year-old or a 15-year-old just can't wait to get the opportunity to take your job, right? And the premise of the book is, well, what happens if you almost kind of like that movie Shawshank Redemption, when you get socialized to function at a high level within an institution? What happens when the institution no longer wants you or needs you? What do you do then? And so that's essentially what the book grapples with.
I'm going to have you back on and just talk about that. Talk about the book and about football in general, because I know some of the players up here, some of the 49ers. I don't know if you know Dennis Brown.
No, I don't. I haven't met Dennis
Brown with the Niners. He's really another one who's really accessible. Just saw him last Monday at the Black History or Martin Luther King event. He comes out every year, and he's an announcer for the Niners now. Does some radio. Real good guy. He seems like his body's not hurting him too bad, and he tells a lot of great stories too. So maybe I can get you and him and me on this show, and we can talk about that as well.
Anytime, brother. Anytime. I would love that.
Hey, listen. So this has been great. I just want to again tell people about the conference that's coming up February the 1st through the 6th. It's the Black Men's Brain Health Conference coming up in Oakland at Merritt College. Registration is for free. The event is for free. Registration is required. So I'm going to put that up for you one more time. We're going to talk about all the different things. I see Mayor Barbara Lee is going to be out there with you guys too. So
yeah, she just made a proclamation. We're very excited. She proclaimed, designated February 3rd and 4th as Black Men's Brain Health Days.
Fantastic. So look, if you can only make it for one day, which day would you think would be the best day to come out?
Well, let me say a couple things. Well, one, I don't want you to miss any. And if you can only make it for one day, then guess what? We make this a hybrid conference. So you can register, you can listen in while you're driving in your car, you can watch it at work, on your computer, you can consume any parts of it, anything that you miss, we host it up on the website as well. So we just make sure that it's really accessible. But before we go to one of the last things I really want to drive home is this conference is open for everyone. Anyone who cares about Black men's brain health, doesn't matter what color you are, what race you are, doesn't matter what gender you are. If you care about it and you want to be part of the solution, you're welcome. And then the last thing that I would say is you cannot understand Black men's brain health without including Black women.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. I was going to make a joke, but I'm not. So, but listen, it's been fantastic talking to you. I'm going to come out there. I'm going to look for you, and I know you're going to be busy, but I'm going to make sure I give you a shake your hand and give you a little man hug, and going to be there to root for you and support you in everything you're going to do. Okay.
Yes, sir. I appreciate it, and I just want to thank Oakland for allowing us to be there.
Oakland is the place to be. You're coming to the Bay, baby. You got to come to Oakland. Your girl was right. You're not going to find too many Black folks down in San Jose, and definitely not in Santa Clara, and definitely not on the peninsula. So you're coming to the right place. So make sure if this is going to happen for folks again, it's the mensbrainhealth.org/2026 conference. Come on and check it out, and we will see you there. Okay, and this is going to do it for an episode of Kicking It with GDove. We'll see you next time when we talk to somebody else that's as important and as intelligent and as incisive as this brother right here, Dr. Robert W. Turner II. We'll see you next time. Peace.